We are rolling. The ride time has changed for the first time since the fall, I guess.
On this ride, Paul and I left Northampton. We rolled into the woodlands. We had enough time, so we just casually, we picked up Team IR, went down Fishcreek. We started filming there. The speeds were high. The action just stayed on well into Hornier. And on this ride, we went through the forest with the group, which is always good. So we stayed with them because this is where we normally go. We took 149 on Mount Pleasant Road, Hidden Forest to Mount Pleasant Road, a lot of action. Then 1097 back to Taco Corner. That's Lone Star Parkway after Taco Corner. We stopped the filming on 105, and then we went Spring Branch Road, past Gary, through the neighborhood to our favorite road, Hornier Egypt Road, back into the woodlands. All of that is off camera. I think that you all will enjoy the clips we got for you. It was a nice, mild day. The temperature started around 63 Fahrenheit, and it didn't warm up too much. It was just comfortable all day.
All right, legends, we got some light, and we're about 4 minutes from the start of the ride. We're on time. The start time has been changed to 7:30 because of the time when we get up in the morning. It's been so dark, so Mark modified it. Cars left, stopping.
They usually change their time when the seasons change. So when it's hot in the summer, they leave a little earlier to go to 7.
We're gonna turn left, my brother, right up here before the intersection. Okay. Use the shoulder till they go by. Yeah. So we just want to do this intro. We'll get you some clips when the action heats up.
In the middle of winter, they leave around 8 a.m. So they move it up 30 minutes. At this point in the ride, it's after the warm up through the neighborhoods. We just hit Fishcreek Boulevard. I'm at the front pulling. And of course, I don't need to tell you about the wind. It's out here. You can hear it. We never got a tailwind the entire day. It was just a very breezy day because of, you can see it says 15 Celsius. It was like 63 degrees for the low, I believe, Fahrenheit. So very, very nice weather, very mild. This is when you break out all your midweight jerseys. So we're wearing our Brevet today, the Brevet lightweight jersey from Rafa. I'm wearing a Suki shorts, Suki Sports. Good quality shorts. It's in a almost 6.5, 7 hour ride, no problem. We're flying down this hill here, and I'm still pedaling. I'm not coasting. To keep the effort going. We hit almost 35 miles an hour coming down. I just kept riding. I was in the drops, and I believe I'm on the tops now. I have my head down and just trying to cheat the wind as much as possible. At 44 kilometers an hour is probably around 27, 28 miles an hour. In a little bit, the yellow light is going to hit us. We're in the intersection, so I'll go ahead and let them know we're going through a motion by putting my arm out for the group and the drivers. Then we're going to make the check to see if everybody gets through.
I see if everybody made it through.
So I accelerate, I look back, I see everybody's there.
Yeah, all good.
a good shot there. So everybody's there, so I go ahead and pull off the front. I have been there for quite a while. So I accelerate to get back in the line. You can see the watts go up. And then get into the draft, and they drop. We never really slowed down much on this ride. There were a couple of areas where there was a little
pull up the
hiatus.
camera, man. This is too sweet.
What Paul is talking about, you did not see me acknowledge him. I think I gave him a thumbs up with my right hand or something. But I'm focusing on the effort here because we're riding, and this road kind of goes up. That idiot that just went by is, every village has one. There's not much you can do about it. He's stupid. Whoever the driver is, he or she is an idiot, because if you're worried about us, the horn was supposed to warn us that he or she was coming by, instead of him or her using the left lane like you see that car over there. This is our lane. We just choose to stay to the right so that when people pull off, they have room to go a little more to the left while still staying in this lane. You're going to pass in this lane at speed. Blaring the horn does not absolve you if something happens. You're still going to be responsible for anything that happens. The sad thing about that is they would never pass a parked car like that at speed, but they have no trouble passing a cyclist like that. The level of stupidity is amazing that you encounter in the world. The pace is high, and we're continuing to just keep the effort in the same range. Now what's going to happen is, this is Austin pulling off the front. He kept the effort in the same range. We're riding along. This is when the group is most efficient. Whatever speed you want to do, make sure you're consistent so that when you take over, don't blast off the front. Now you're going to see things will change as we continue to ride, because people will start acting like this is a road race. Well, a road race is not the most efficient way of traveling, because they're trying to actually burn people off. Basically what we call break the elastic. That's what attacks do. Group riding is different in that you're riding with others and you're trying to get somewhere faster. So it's recommended that you keep the speed as steady as possible. But this ride and a lot of the fast rides, you always have somebody who wants to go faster. So if you want to play with them, then you go. If not, you stay at the group pace. And I will walk you through when it occurs. You will see. The light changes, we go through. You can see the watts go up as we accelerate, so you can't be staying too far behind. If it's a short light, stay close. You save energy when you get in the draft. The guy in front of me, I noticed that his bike was just ticking. A lot of times it has to do with some maintenance or adjustments that's needed. There was a tick on every revolution of his pedal stroke, the entire ride. I, for one, can't stand any noise coming from my bike. I just want to hear the tires. I don't even want to hear the chain. You're not supposed to hear any noises. Noise means something's broken. Take it to a shop if you can't do it yourself. Don't try doing it yourself and then you quit because you don't have the skill or the experience, because you end up making it worse. And the people at the shop can figure it out when you get there. They know you've been messing with it. And they'll charge you more because they got to undo what you did. I had already pulled, so I'm not going to stay up here very long. In a little bit, I will get off the front and motion to Paul, and I will even tell him, don't stay up there too long. We got enough people to pull. It's a big group. So I pull off because I had pulled for quite a while.
Sit up there, strong.
So he hands me the camera as they go by. I love how we carry the camera. So much more versatility. That's a friendly horn. He's greeting us. You'll hear Mike S5 talk about the other driver.
What an idiot. This guy's just friendly horn. Yeah.
That's why I said this guy's a friendly honk. He said there's a lot of people honking today. And we had quite a few of that. Some of it was warranted. They were warning us. You will see that on Mill Route. because we're spread all across the road. I told him, I said, there's not much you can do about that. You just keep on keeping on. You know, ignorance is no excuse. It's not your problem. They'll get educated somehow at a grave expense, hopefully to them and not others. As Forrest Gump says, stupid is as stupid does. Not much you can do about it. One of those sleeper movies. I went to see that movie not knowing what it was going to be like. And it just ended up being very entertaining. Yeah, I'm telling Paul that Abby went to the front and changed the pace. So this is where it's starting now. He'll go to the front, accelerate off the front. He doesn't help the group much. Then every climb you will see, he will attack every climb. Well, what that does, it hurts the weaker riders. You see, look at the effort. This was not what we were doing in a little bit. So it's like 35 kilometers an hour up this thing. That's like 22, 23 miles an hour. And I think that's like 2.5%, 3%. Then after the climb, the pace backs off a little bit. Well, riders that are not accustomed to this kind of riding, after a while, they kind of hit the wall. And what you end up doing is you hurt the group by losing riders. We don't try to discourage anything anyone does in this group. That's another reason we like riding with these guys. But you don't have to follow what other people do. You just, if you decide, okay, I'm going to stay with the main group's pace, you know, and maybe you wait for the last rider and then you slip behind them because you don't want to ride alone. Because not everybody will go with every attack that occurs. You want to encourage people to do their attacks if they feel good and they want to do that, that's fine. What I don't care for is those that attack, but they never, ever hold the group. If you're going to ride with the group, do some work. Get to the front, stay there longer, and pull. You know, to sit in the back and then come to the front and surge for 100 yards, then sit up. And all you've done is disturb the rhythm of the group. That doesn't make any sense. So when I'm sitting at the front and people do that, I just watch them go by. And I keep on keeping on, because if they can't hold that group pace, then we're just going to pass them. So now he's drifting all the way back to the back. He wasn't pulling the group. He went to the front and lifted the pace. And whoever was up there was killing themselves to get on his wheel. He didn't go up there and give them a wheel. There was no reason for him to go up there and do that, because you just sit in the line until your turn comes to pull. That's Dan up there, Dan the man. So that's what I was explaining earlier. We're using this lane. We stay as far to the right as practical, so that when someone pulls off, they can pull off to the left, because the wind is all over the place. We can use that piece, so we end up at all times using half of the lane. That gives us plenty of buffer for the cars that are in that lane. They can pass comfortably. But you got yahoos running around that are clueless. You know, they wouldn't pass a garbage can that close that was put out front. But they're zooming by and blaring the horn like that's supposed to do something. Like the planet was created for them. As we go down here, the overpass is coming. So when you're riding in rolling terrain, you want to keep your rhythm as consistent as you can. I stay a little to the left so I can see around the rider in front of me, and also to maintain my rhythm, because everybody climbs a little differently. Dan is in front of me, and Dan likes to periodically stand in a large gear and climb and power up some climbs. I think on this one he just sat the whole time. But we ride at different rhythms, and so sometimes if I want to spin faster, I'll stay a little to the left to where I don't have to react to what the rider in front of me is doing. And you'll see that as we hit the overpass. they have finally come and put some decent pavement here. Because the first time they did this side, the road fell apart. It was a joke. So whoever they got to come back and do it, I hope that they took money from the other guy if it wasn't the same company that did it, because they did a shabby job. This is well done. Because they have been patching it for the last few months. Trying to make do. You see the watts go up. We rode this actually very civilized. We're doing around 19, 20 miles an hour. Maybe 19, 18 right now. Probably about 3.5 to 4 watts per kilo for you power meter people. I have finally decided that based on my use over the last 6 months, the rally pedals are the gold standard when it comes to power meters that I've used. The power pod just is too finicky. There's a lot of fiddling with it. You never know when it's gonna misbehave and all of that. So it's just it's probably about, let's see, maybe a third of the cost. So if you're really into power meters, save your money and get the Garmin, because they have finally arrived with, I think, the Timex of power meters based on what I've used. There are other power pedals out there that may be as reliable, but what I like about the Garmin is not only its reliability, but its stealth. You're not advertising to the world that you have a power meter, and its portability. You get a pedal wrench, put it on any bike you want. Nothing special is needed. You just put it on there, tighten it with a pedal wrench, you're ready to go. You initially need to calibrate it, and the head unit has the calibration once you pair it, so it works really well. So for those of you looking for power meters, definitely look at a Rally. I will try to do a comparison between, which is kind of an unfair comparison because they're very different, between that and the power pod. I like the more consistent readouts from the Rally. The power pod seems to calculate more. The Rally just displays what's going on. What is saying car back? I'm already in the lane because I'm using my mirror and I can see that it was clear. So that's one benefit of the mirror. I don't have to keep looking back. I'll look back from time to time, but that mirror really, it's nice to have. So we're going here. The effort's been high. I'm staying near the front because you don't want to fall back, and I will show why in a little bit. We turn left onto Capitol Road here, and it's a slight grade as soon as you turn. If you look at the metrics above the cyclist on the left, the cyclist with the speedometer display, you see it says 2%. We're already up the road. It goes up and then it has a descent. Now you see Mark is trying to close the gap. So when you're riding in a group, stay close, because you've got to close. You got to work hard to close the gaps that you let happen anyway. In a little bit, a lot of riders behind Paul, I believe he's intentionally gonna allow them to come around him, because he's not gonna pull them to the group. You see a shadow behind him, somebody gets on his wheel, he just keeps his pace so they can go around. Now they're coming around. He's gonna let all of them go because two reasons. He wants to get everybody in the picture, and then secondly, he knows there's a downhill coming where he doesn't have to expend too much energy right here. Right here, the downhill begins. And now he can kind of roll back up to the group. But a lot of times when you're at the back, you're at a big disadvantage because, way back, once the top riders have gone over the climb and you're on the climb, you're still climbing while they're descending. And if they're putting the power down, you got a lot of ground to make up. So you have to stay alert. Because what Paul is doing here can cause you to get dropped if the people at the front force the pace. I'm sitting on Dan's wheel. You can't see me. I'm in the front. I'm the second rider in front. I'm not in the picture. I'm in front of those guys. When we get to that corner, I don't expect them to stop because I looked behind and I saw that everybody was here. You can see Paul is riding up to the back of the group here. Everybody's here, so I turned right and I'm ready to go. Then Mark asks, hey, Eldred, you know, where you need to hold on, something like that. He called my name, so then I did a U-turn. There's a car up, so we're going over. On these roads that are really quiet, there's a tendency of the groups to spread out. Yeah, that's okay when nothing's coming, but you all have to be looking around. And in a little while, in about probably 3 kilometers, a driver blasts us with his horn. I mean, you know, just a warning. Because we're all over the road, he couldn't get by. They're slowing down for the corner. I'm up there with Dan. We're right at the stop sign. I'm on the right. I begin my turn. The Mark calls out to me. He said, come on, Eldred, something like that. So I just did a U-turn. That's why you see 0 watts. I'm not pedaling. I did a U-turn. I'm on the left there. So we slowed down to regroup just in case. But nobody was off the bat. We're all here.
Good? Yep.
So I asked if we're good. They say, yeah, let's go. It's time to go. Somebody said, where's the emergency? And the pace is hot. It's a beautiful morning. We're going. That's funny. Yeah, we started out fast. So I'm chatting with Dan here. We're sharing a joke. Dan the man. Dan got the chartreuse with the chartreuse shoes. You gotta put time into your kit. See how visible that is? Look at Dan's legs. As it moves, that's all you see. And his shoes matching the sock makes it look like he's got boots on. I love that look. Where your sock goes with the shoe. It's sweet. That's how Paul is dressed. Paul is wearing black and black. Black shoes, black socks. And then a little white on the back of the socks. They pop. So since we had just slowed down and somebody said, what's the hurry? I decided I would just temper the pace while I'm up here. 18 to 20, something like that. Just keep it steady because we've got that climb coming up and the guys like to get excited there. So you will see what I was talking about earlier. When we get to Raven Chapel climb, the guys are going to start attacking again. And I'm going to be like, okay, if that's the way we're going to do it, then we can all play like that. Now when Mo and Jerry and those faster guys are here, like it's a different kind of fast that they do. When they go fast, they sustain it. If they're gonna do 39, 40K or 42K or whatever, they don't slow down to 32K unless there's something going on. They're going to go there and they're going to hold the same effort. I mean, the speeds will change based on the conditions, but they're going to hold that effort. If it's 37K that the conditions give you, whatever effort they're doing, they do sustainable efforts. There is a big difference. I'm mentioning that so that you can practice that. Going off the front for 2 seconds is not going to make you a strong rider. So you need to be able to go at a pace that after you break away, you can stay up there. So if people come up to you, you can get on their wheel and start a break or whatever. You know, so don't worry about the people who, I guess they ride like flash in the pan, where they go for 10 yards and then they're done. You don't see them again. So you need to be able to sustain the stuff. If it's not sustainable, riders that are very experienced will just ignore you when you go because they know they're going to pull you back in no time because you're going to sit up. You know, so when we ride with more than them, it's a whole different level. I mean, like when I ride with them, I'm like 169, 173 beats per minute most of the time. I'm in the middle of Zone 4 race pace most of the time riding with those guys. So you got to be able to adapt to that kind of riding. You can't be riding in Zone 2 for the whole year and then go to those guys. It will be a shock to your system until you get acclimated to that effort level. So I check, I'm gonna look right and left. That's a dead end on the left. Nothing's coming, so I let them know. There's nothing here. There's no car or anything. So that's okay to go through like that. We're going through like a train. So even though nothing's coming, you still need to check and be prepared to stop if necessary. Once we go through, there's a little bump at that intersection that kind of is a grade and it levels off. And in a little bit, you will see the climb. There it is. I like this road. It's a nice length of a climb and it just keeps going up when you're on it. So as I begin to climb, I've been pulling for a while. I'm just gonna keep the effort the same, but I've got my eye on Dan's shadow, and you can also sense when riders are close to you where they are. So as I sense him, he's basically just keeping his momentum as we go. So I sense him coming on my right, so you see me drift to the left, and I'm done pulling. But then there's a gap, so then I accelerate and get on his wheel. I just stay at the front. I don't lift the pace too much. The effort is the same. Now, this is what I was talking about. Now, watch this. He's not going to pull. It's like an attack or a sprint or whatever. But Dan just ignores him because he can't sustain that effort. That's when then Abby comes around. That's another one who doesn't like to pull, but he likes to surge off the front and disturb the pace. That's okay. He's having fun. You can decide. Whether you follow him, don't follow him, that's up to you. Once the two of them did that, I said, okay. Because what happens is, let's say you got another rider in there that can go just as fast as you or faster than you. If you make those kind of efforts, you better make sure you can recover. Because what if that rider attacks? So you got a guy like Jerry or Mo or some of the other riders like Christian and so forth, and you do too many of those, you just might get dropped when they go. So whatever you're doing, see, we just roll back up to them. We didn't have to accelerate. They slowed down. That's what I was talking about. So you just make sure that whatever effort you're doing when you go off the front with your group or whatever, make sure you got plenty left to at least stay with the group. Otherwise, you will be riding alone. Because if you're going to attack, we're not going to wait for you. Because if you got energy to attack, you could take a pull and sit in. So we wouldn't have to wait for you. That's the logic. So if you're gonna play like that, would make you work. So right here, I decided to play back. I said, okay, let's see how much they got left. They're slowing down too much. I downshifted on that corner and kept my cadence up to come around. And I just go ahead and accelerate. You don't have to stand up to go fast. You just have to use the proper mechanical advantage. I'm not going very hard. I'm going at the same effort I was going when you saw me pulling right there with Dan on my wheel. It's just that we're going slightly downhill, so the speeds are higher. But I'm maintaining the group's effort right here. I'm not trying to ride off the front or whatever. I just haven't been training like that anyway. But I just decided, okay, let's just see how long before they come. Now, we're going down the hill. I'm holding the same effort I was holding, so I know they can go faster than that. I just keep riding. And we're using the whole road because make sure you're doing something like this. Look ahead. Make sure nothing's coming. I'm looking at everybody as they come by. The corner of my eye, you see my pace is up. The effort is up. I'm not going super hard. I'm waiting for more people to come around. Then I'm going to slip in on the back. I'm going to stay to the right because this road has a lot of patina and I know where all the bumps are. So you're going to see me. Somebody's going to say car up. I'm going to drift to the right there, because I know that's smooth over there. Then Robert goes, I just keep pedaling. You don't need to get too excited. I just use my hips to keep that bike gliding. That was just a little tester, just, you know, go off the front. You can do it, I can do it, kind of thingy thing. So the ride continues to get more interesting as we head towards Montgomery. We're going to be turning right in probably about a few meters, probably 25 meters. 75 feet, something like that. can see I'm off the power. I'm coasting, soft pedaling. And another thing you have to do in the corners, don't fall behind. I'm gonna stand up and kick up. Somebody twisted a screw up there. So you gotta stay close, otherwise you work hard. See Austin back there? Gotta get there quickly. You gotta get in the drive and try to stay in the drive. You gotta work at that. You gotta stay close. So this is the road where we will get a driver. We end up using up too much of the road to where he can't get by. And I was not paying attention to that because I was not taking up the whole road. So, you know, I glance behind from time to time, not all the time. You got to be watching the wheels you're following. And these kind of roads is going to happen, but don't make it a habit of taking up the entire road. We really should be using one half of the road because it is illegal to ride across the entire road. Some riders that ride in this group have been stopped by the officers and basically lectured about people complaining that we take up the whole road. We meaning when you have large groups. A lot of the problems that drivers have with cyclists come from groups. Groups have this mentality that because there's a lot of them, they can just do stuff. They annoy me. Even when I'm riding solo and groups come by, they act like you're not supposed to be on the road because they're riding faster than you are. So, you know, we need to be concerned and at least considerate about the other road users. Like where he is, there's no reason for him to be there. He needs to get over. That's what takes up the road. So right here where Paul is, he's working very hard. He needs to get close to a wheel, any wheel. Because now what I'm just letting you know so you can be aware of it. Paul knows what he's doing. We discussed that we wanted, because of the route that Mark put out, we wanted to stay with these guys through the forest. So he's really being very stingy with his energy. He did not want to put out a lot of watts back there. So he was keeping his pace steadier than the group. You can do that because these guys are going speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down. You can see he rode back up to us. He didn't have to use big watts. So Paul knows what he's doing. You just need to be aware when you're riding, you need to stay close. You see how that guy stays on the left? He was there a little while ago. Why is he there? If you're going to go to the front and get over. That's why the drivers get upset. We shouldn't be more than 2 abreast. So in a little bit, there's a truck that can't get by. Because that guy and James, the one in gray, they will be all over the road. And these roads are narrow anyway, you know, in addition to the fact that they're narrow. So we're not doing this intentionally. It's a matter of you following someone and then they drift, so you have to drift to the left or whatever. But we all need to be cognizant of that and get back over. We can't just sit spread out like that. When there's a car, you got to close it up. So this is nice. 2-line pace line, that's good. We still could be a little tighter. I'm looking around the rider in front of me. You see? That's exactly what happened. Look at where Abby is. There was no reason for him to have drifted over there. So we didn't see this guy till the last minute. He had to blow his horn. He was trying to pass. And Abby is notorious for doing that. He loves sitting out in traffic on 2-lane roads when everybody else is in one line. He'll sit on the side and that kind of crap. You better have eyes in the back of your head. You're going to be doing that. Just because you're in a group does not make you any safer. You need to still be aware of what's happening out there. We get a little complacent more so when we're in a group than when we ride solo. Cyclists do that. Being in a group does not change what you need to do. I think it actually makes you be required to enforce it even more. I mean, I am even more diligent when I'm around other cyclists than when I'm by myself. Because when I'm by myself, I just got to worry about me. So right here, they're stopping. I don't really know why. I don't want to stop. So I'll tell the guy on the corner there in red that we're just going to spin. That's what I'm telling him. I said, we're just going to spin. I don't want to stop. There's too many stops. We don't need to stop at every corner. We just stop back there. So I see Paul in my mirror, and I'm going to just back off the power so he can get up to me. They didn't stop that long this time. We went ahead and just turned off the camera. It's about, what, 8:29 a.m. We turned off the camera. And at this point in the ride, it's 8:43, so that's like 13 minutes. But this is much further along the road. We're in Montgomery right now. We're heading towards 149. So they stopped maybe for a minute, if that. So there were a lot of riding that we did that was off camera on this is Lone Star Parkway at 149. Downtown Montgomery is to the left. There's a hill to the left. We're headed west right now. We're going to turn right and go north. We're going into the forest on FM 149. And FM 149 has a lot of nice rollers. And once again, for some reason, the roads were very busy this September 11th. So we turn right here, and you will see quite a few drivers will blow to let people know, warning. Nothing like that one on Fishcreek. But the thing, a lot of drivers don't know is you are required to give us 3 feet. They're not even aware of the laws in the land that they live in. If you're giving me room, you don't need to honk. When I pass a cyclist in my car, I use the next lane. I wait till it's safe and I use the next lane. I don't need to worry about what he's doing over there. I don't want to be anywhere near him. Same thing with a motorcyclist. I don't even like to follow behind motorcyclists in my car. Don't need the liability. You see how those guys are passing? That's how you pass. That's how you would pass a vehicle, and we are a vehicle. That's how you pass a car. They want to be passing like they own the road.
Yeah, I know, they're everywhere.
Yeah, we're talking about just the number of cars. This place is never this busy on Saturday. I still think gasoline is too cheap. It should be about $10 a gallon. There'd be less driving going on. Roads would be clearer. The air would be cleaner. Most of our trips are a few miles anyway. We need more pedestrian facilities and safe bike routes, meaning roads that can accommodate bikes, not these little hike and bike things we put between the trees. Most of our trips, we don't need to drive unless you drive into work and it's miles away from where you live. Most of the trips, all our neighborhoods have local stores that we go to. We don't need to drive there. There'll be less reason. Yeah, now he's honking because that guy pulled out of the line. Yeah, it's still our lane. You can honk all you want. Just move over. It doesn't matter. They're using the left turn lane to go by. That's what you need to do. You don't need to honk. You just need to move over. He was worried that guy was going to continue going left. The guy knows what he's doing. This one's going straight, and he was trying to use the left lane to get by. Because if he has to wait for 2 seconds, the Earth will stop its rotation around the sun. So this is the guy that had pulled off, and now this other one's still blowing. It's like, it's not safe to pass. You don't need to blow. You wait, and then you pass. But no, that's too sensible. So we use the shoulder on these kind of roads because it is more practical, as the law says, ride as far to the right as practical. It's practical, it's safe, it's there. So we use it. So then they can use that lane, most of that lane, to pass. They still are required to give us 3 feet while passing. That means they need to move a little over that yellow line to go by. But most of them are unaware of that. There's no law that says we have to be on this shoulder. We do it as a courtesy and because it makes sense. We don't need a law to do what makes sense. So I'm harping on that because of how these guys behave when you're out riding your bike. A lot of cyclists are hesitant to ride on the roads that they pay for. You know, then we say we're free over here. When you got people in the Netherlands and other places can ride their bikes all year, all the time, everywhere, because they have been accommodated properly. We're not as free as we think we are over here. It's a bunch of nonsense. It's a pipe dream. We pay for that freedom. This road goes up and down, and if you're tired, this is not the route you want to be on. This thing, in a few kilometers, it just has a drag towards the forest. This is West Montgomery Park. We used to drive out here a few seasons ago, and we'd park and then ride to like Huntsville and other places further out. We even went to Beatites and Shiro, Texas. You know, it was really cool. Those adventures were cool. This is the park we used to come into the park and start our ride. Just to do different roads and different terrain. So don't let the behavior of other road users stop you from exercising your right to use the road. Don't go out and try to enforce that right when they're being ignorant. You can, if they're endangering you, you get their license and you call the authorities. That's how you handle that. Do not get into confrontations out on the road. That does not accomplish anything. You're better off in a court of law because they get a different attitude when they're hauled down there. So just keep that in mind. So we don't really escalate anything. As you notice, nobody flipped anybody off. Don't do that. That's not necessary. You're not going to accomplish anything. You're just going to get a negative reaction. So all you want to do is make sure that you stay out of the way. If they're blaring their horn, just keep your eye. When that driver blew the horn, I was looking in my mirror. I saw that he or she had moved over, but was just blaring the horn to make sure none of us moved left. Because I'm coming at speed in your lane. That's what that kind of horn is for. You know. The road goes up here. You can see the watts go up. So you have to do a lot of shifting in this kind of terrain. So if your bike is not maintained, you will have problems riding in this kind of terrain. You need to make sure your shifting is indexed properly so you don't have any problems. I'm sitting near the front. I'm in about third position because I stayed really close because I didn't want to expend any energy unnecessarily because we've ridden out here quite a bit. One time we came with the WCC boys and it was just really hard. We were spread out all over this highway. And Mo had to go back and basically what I called escort people back to the group. And the thing is though, if Mo goes back for you, he's got to ride fast enough to bring you back to the group. Well, if you're already struggling back there, it's kind of hard to sit on his wheel. So even though he means well, you got to at least try. You can't give up. He wants you to try. We end up seeing them on this stretch. You will see that. They're coming south. So they probably had gone on Bethel Road through the forest and now they were going south. That's the harder direction on this road, southbound. We got that information from Jerry. Jerry likes to go southbound on this road. So when Jerry and Fabian and Jesus and all these guys are here, you really have to plan to just work, and you got to be efficient, because any energy you waste, you pay for it later. So this, on this side, this stretch, we rode very, very conservatively. I think everybody realized this terrain is tough anyway. And you can see we're just riding consistently. No one's attacking or anything. So what I said about people going off the front, not pulling or whatever, is not a negative thing. I want to stress that. Don't stop people from having fun. This is not a job. This is Saturday. We're off of work. We came to have fun. Let them have their fun. You all just need to decide that, okay, the group is going to do 18 miles an hour. So when you surge to 23, the people that want to go with you, they can go with you. Then we have group A, and the group will be at 18. Or if somebody in the group wants to go with them, fine. Maybe they pick up the pace a little bit, which is what these guys do. They don't let people just go all the time. So it's kind of like nothing's wrong with that. You just need to make sure that you don't overextend yourself. You see, I don't know why he did that. He went up there to talk to James. I think James is pulling. And I don't know why he did that, because that's just a waste of energy. It was a distraction to James. It threw him off a bit. And you only want to do that when you check to make sure there's no other road users coming, because that doesn't make sense to be sitting out there. He rode up to tell, I just heard that here, because I didn't hear it when I was riding, because I'm up front there. I'm 2 riders up. He said he rode up to tell James where to go. Well, we would have told him. We're there. We know. And we call out the turns anyway. When we're approaching an intersection, somebody will say right turn, left turn, whatever. So whoever's there that doesn't know, we'll let them know. That was not necessary. And all those little expenditures of energy, you pay for it later when it really counts. You hear the ticking. That's that guy's bike. That's the yellow bike. So James pulled off. You hear that ticking? That's his bike. And I hated following him because I don't like to hear that. You got that much ticking going on. Get the bike serviced. It didn't just happen on this ride. You know, you spent all that money for that sucker. It should be quiet. The same thing with your car. If it's making some kind of unusual noise, it's time to get it serviced. There's a reason it's making that noise. Or you might be by the side of the road looking for a tow truck. There it is. That's just an audible tick. When I'm riding my bike, I don't want to hear anything. I just want to hear the birds and my tires, you know, and the animals that are out there. Because most of the routes we go on, you got these dogs and squirrels and stuff. The squirrels I watch out for because they don't know how to cross the road. You don't want them getting in your front wheel. This pace is a good effort. I'm right at sweet spot behind Mike S5. He's pulling right now. That's why you have to do things by effort. The speed doesn't mean anything. I mean, it says 34, 35. We just fine because we're 1%. But this thing is such a drag, a gradual drag out here that the pressure is on the whole time. Look at my watts. I don't think it goes much below 300. There, now it dipped down a little bit. We must be, yeah, it says -1 or 1%. Yeah, it's slightly downhill. So yeah, it's gonna go, as soon as the road goes up, it goes back up. So -1. So on the downhill, you get to save a little energy. You could probably drink some water quickly. The road's going back up now. If you look at the grade, it's back to 0, then 1. You see the watts going up, 2%. It gets there in a hurry when you go out here. This is the way to Richards also. It's like 15 miles, you're just going up. And I think it was Will who used to ride with WCC that told me one day, he says, 15 miles, and the whole journey you're going up. So it's like climbing a mountain pass that has, you know, low grades, I guess a category 4, you know, climb. So he just pulled off. And I'm at the front. And what I do is I replicate the same effort he was doing. We want to keep the group together so we don't have to wait for people. You know, especially on this highway. My effort goes up about 5 beats from where I was when I was behind him. I'm keeping it very steady. I am downshifting when necessary. If you look at my cadence, it's not going to go below 80. In fact, it's right at 90, thereabouts. I'm not intentionally looking at cadence. I'm just keeping my rhythm the same. It's just easier on your legs. It keeps it fresh. Because in the forest, we have a bunch of hills. And the attacks are going to be thick and fast. We're still climbing here. You see the guy in the yellow bike, he's got a big gear that he's turning, and that feels comfortable. You have to find a rhythm that works for what your body needs at that moment. It's going to be different all the time. Sometimes you feel like you want to spin. Sometimes you feel like I'm going to muscle a big gear. But by keeping it consistent, people can get their rhythm down instead of all that changes in speed that occur when people are surging. Motorcyclists come out here because this road is quiet. Look at the road. Get a car now and then. Mark said the right turn. I already knew that. I point. You may not see it on camera, but I point so that people know that I know. That's Mo and them. Jerry sitting on the back as usual on his TT bars. So Mark says they need to take a nature break here. So go ahead and stop.
It's a hot and steamy, my brother. I said it's a hot and steamy.
Paul's talking about the pace. He said the pace is hard. So we resume 6 minutes later after the health break. We're still in the forest. We are on Hidden Forest Road. Now, after we resumed, people started constantly accelerating and, you know, just messing around. So I decided to keep my cadence high. And so I got tired of just all the changes of accelerating, slowing down, accelerating, slowing down. So in a little while, I just take off. It's like you drive your car from red light to red light. You're racing to each stop sign. It didn't make any sense. So you can see, I keep my cadence high because when the changes in speed are occurring, you can react quicker. And the road is kind of, you know, choppy with cracks and patches and other things. It's part of the forest. So you got to really be watching. So right about here, they slow down again after the acceleration, and then I don't know if it's right, I think in a little bit, I'm just gonna take the momentum I have and just take off. Right there. Look at my watts. I hit 400 watts and I don't want to slow down. I just go. Seated acceleration. That's a seated brake. You do that with cadence. Look at the cadence, 120 something. Somebody said I'm gone. Somebody asked who it was, and someone else said Eldred. So I'm gone. I'm in the distance. I'm not going to where I'm going to just keep riding at 400 watts and be off camera. So what I do is I drop it to probably half the effort that I use to break away so that whoever comes will have to work a little bit. So I drop it around 330 or whatever. I'm not looking at the watch when I do this. I'm just riding my bike. I just carry that power meter on that bike for this Saturday ride. So as soon as he catches up, I go ahead and slip on his wheel. That's how you start a break. You go very hard, but make sure you got plenty left because you got to work. So we're still a little off, and then people are riding back up to us, and we're moving. And the forest is a challenge. So you've got to make sure that you've done the kind of training. You see this guy moving over on the left? When you do that, you got to look ahead, make sure nobody's using the other side of the road. What he's doing is to avoid all these ruts. We're going to be turning right. And you got to look ahead, make sure nothing's coming. So as I approach the corner, I'm watching for cars. This is a stop on all sides. And I turn and then we keep going. This part of the pavement is not as choppy as the other one. You know, they haven't paved everything recently. It's been here for a while. So I keep riding. Just keeping the effort right around about half power, pretty much, you know, just to see. So he comes by. He tells me about the weather. I tell him it's still nice. He said it's nice this morning. I told him, yeah, it's not going to warm up much. It's a mild day. See, it just says 17 Celsius. It's very nice. I only used 2 bottles through the forest. At the store we reloaded, but I don't think I used the entire contents of both bottles. I just used one on this route. And we were riding hard. So it's about 400 watts here. So he's going hard. I'm sitting on him, so I'm working a little less, but still, this is a fast pace. Now all I do is I find a rhythm that I can hold forever. So when people are changing the speeds all the time, it is more effective to keep a high cadence versus a low cadence. Especially on flat terrain. Because when you're climbing, if they're changing the speeds, you can decide whether you're going to grind at your own rhythm and pull them back, or whether you're going to keep changing the pace. I don't do many pace changes when I'm climbing. I like to just hold a hard effort, like a time trial effort or something. Kind of soft pedaling behind him. I'm letting people know this corner is a little choppy. It gets a little chopped up. I'm going to go across the road there and watch my cadence. I accelerate and I'm right back on his wheel. It's downhill and then we go into a climb, and I'm going to launch another attack again just to mix things up. I don't know why I was riding like that, but Paul told me when we got home, he said, man, you're riding like you're crazy. Right here, because that's hard. Look at my watts. I can hold that for quite a while. That's why I didn't go 1200 watts. 700 watts, I can hold that. So then I sit up. I see these guys coming in my mirror. I go ahead. When I say sit up, I drop the effort. So Austin goes by me. I let him go because I see Abby in my mirror. I intentionally drop the pace so Abby can go by. He didn't sit on me. So he goes by. See, I stop pedaling. So you want to go up there. But at this point, Austin has sat up because there's another climb up there. So I slip on Abby's wheel. There are 2 more climbs coming. The second one is really long. So we start to go. So knowing that there are a lot of climbs coming, I back off my effort. You see how it goes up there to the left and then it turns to the right? I love this. This is sweet. back off here just enough. Everybody's gonna come around. I don't worry about them because this is a long climb. I was gonna wait to the last area there to go hard, but then Mark has a flat. So everybody's going. We're still not at the apex yet. And right about where he is with the yellow bike is where, if you're gonna go, that's a hard spot right there. Dan going. That's Robert. It's Mark. And Mark starts his tire goes down right there. I'm sitting on Mark's wheel, and then James is on my left. Look at my cadence. Because I'm planning on going harder, and I was like, then Mark says flat, and I looked at his tire, and it was completely gone. You know, it went down a bit, but he ended up just topping it off in here until we got to,
What happened?
I think, the neighborhood with Spring Branch. So I told him not to stop to get off the road. There are cars behind us. You see, we're still on the climb. It's not over yet. So there's a car that he goes by, and there's another one coming, so everybody kind of gets out of the way. Where that happened, that's not where you want to have a flat. So this was where I really wanted to go, because now, after those two bumps, those who didn't pace themselves, they would have been struggling right here. That's why I kept my cadence high, but you know, didn't pan out that way. So I'm just kind of, that's Paul here. I'm behind Paul, I think. I'm gonna come around, do a U-turn, or am I up there? Let's see. Somebody's going back. I think I'm behind Paul. I go ahead, I pass them here, I turn around, I go to Mark.
Oh, no. I can't wear it.
Paul stopped here. I go down and do a U-turn, and then I go to Mark. So anyway, after Mark topped off his tire, we're on 1097 headed southwest. We're about probably maybe 10 kilometers from Taco Corner. I'm estimating 5 miles. Not very far. I always stay a little to the left or right of the riders I'm following, and you will see an example of, you can't depend on everybody to call everything. Not that they don't want to necessarily, but depending on the effort or what's going on, they may see something late or not see it at all and dodge it, and then you end up hitting it. There's a small piece of wood that's on the road, and I think Robert is in front of me at that moment. He ends up hitting it. Oh, no, he's behind me. That's Robert on the right. He's coming off the front. He's going to get probably in front of Paul. Paul's going to let him in because the road narrows here. So he let Robert get in, and Robert thanks him. Because the shoulder narrowed, we don't want to use the whole road because it's good, decent amount of traffic. But once we get through that stretch, it's going to go up. So you really have to watch your gearing. You don't want to get bogged down here because this is just the beginning of many climbs before we get to Taco Corner. Yep. Robert hit that. There was a piece of wood on the road and they didn't call it. And I told him, you guys have to call, you gotta have to call those things. And Robert says, you think? So yes, they don't always call stuff because everybody's going hard. This climb is long, and then it creeps up at the top, it kicks in. So I stand and just power that gear over, then sit down, you know. So people are working hard, they can't call everything. And, you know, so you really have to keep your eyes open, but sometimes, you know, there's no avoiding it. It was a little piece of wood, somebody hit it, and I think Paul ended up hitting it too. think Robert hit it, then Paul hit it. So whenever you're in a group and like right here, I'm coasting, that's when you want to grab your bottle, take a drink real quickly. Every 15 minutes or so when you're going hard, keep water in your system so you're not behind, even if you're not thirsty. The road goes up here again a little bit, and people keep surging. So I wanted to see who was at the front. And so when I saw Abby, I was like, we're teasing him because he keeps saying we should have mercy on him, which I think is unnecessary anyway. But so every time he says that, I said no mercy. So when I see that it's Abby pulling, in a few kilometers, I'm going to launch an attack. I don't know how close we are to Taco Corner here. Yeah, I think we're pretty close. Probably not even a few kilometers, in about a few meters, a few hundred meters. Once we go around this curve, I'm going to use my mirror and see that the road behind us is clear for miles on end. There are absolutely no cars. And I'm going to go ahead and launch a sprint, go right by Abby and let him know it's on. And then we go up, everybody takes off, we go up the climb. You know, usually you get to the finish of your ride or the stop. There's always somebody going for the city limit signs or something. Cycling is famous for that. So right around here, I move to the left. I've already looked at my mirror, it's clear. I put in a big gear, look at my watts. I start to go, and I go to the right close to Abby, and then go. There's a final climb before we get to Taco Corner. It's right at the top of that hill, and it's on. I'm not going that hard. About medium effort. Right there, I turn off my power. We're done. Everybody's going. So you got to finish up to get to the store. You get to get something to drink. So we're turning left. Taco Corner is right there on the left. I tell you one thing, I slept well on Saturday. Saturday night, I slept like a baby. It's a good workout. So I don't know about you all, but this is part of what we did on Saturday. There's a car over there. He's waiting for us, so we go ahead and get in. You have to be careful in these parking lots. Make sure people see you. So remember, get your K's in and keep those doctors fired.